Are you ready for the most ridiculous advice in fantasy football? If so, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Now, without any further ado, here they are. It's Terrbiculus and Rondiculus.
Hello, fantasy football lovers, and welcome to the Terrbiculus and Rondiculus show. I'm Terrbiculus, and I'm joined by Rondiculus. Hey, Ron.
What's going on, Terry?
Nothing. We're here at week 8. Can you believe it? We were just talking about this halfway through the season. Can you believe it?
I can't believe it. It's crazy. It goes so fast.
I know. We were just waiting for the season to begin. We're glad that the season began because we were worried about the coronavirus and everything. But here we are halfway through the season. So,
yes, we are.
Hey, we're going to jump right in today, Ron, because we've got a different kind of show for you today. Like we had talked about earlier, we decided that we were going to go head-to-head. Ron and I are going to go head-to-head. He's giving predictions. I'm giving predictions this week. It's going to be an exciting show. But before we get into all that stuff, Ron's going to cover a little bit of what happened last week. Any surprises? Anything good going on, Ron?
Surprises were the top running back. It was Wilson for San Francisco. He got 31 fantasy points. He was 0.0% owned.
That's the guy you want to own.
Yeah, no one was on him. So that was the shocker.
Wow.
Yeah, the winning lineup was a mess. There was a lot of high-scoring games last weekend. The winning lineup had 239 points, which I think that may be the highest I ever remember. It was a lot of fantasy points. And then the winning game, they used a game stack like we talked about before. They used the Seattle-Arizona game. They used Kyler Murray as their quarterback. And then they brought it back with Hopkins and Kirk, 2 receivers again.
Yeah.
And then brought it back with Lockett on the other side, which I'm kicking myself because I did a bunch of Murray lineups. And I had Metcalf and everyone. I didn't do one with Lockett. I'm like, what is wrong with me?
That's why Lockett went off. You
exactly.
know that.
You learn. So I should have not one. I was like, how did I not do one? But I didn't. So anyway, but yeah, so it's 239 points. They didn't do any crazy plays. Their lowest owned guy was Ebron at tight end, and he was 2.2% owned. So you can go back and look if you want. You can pull up the previous things, and you can research it some more. But like I said, they used the Seattle-Arizona game stack. 2 receivers paired up with the quarterback and brought it back with the receiver on the other side, on the Seattle side. So congratulations to them. They're $1 million richer, and hopefully one of us will be $1 million richer after this weekend, or one of our listeners. That would be fantastic because we have picks from Terrbiculus and Rondiculus this week. So how could you go wrong, ladies and gentlemen?
Oh, we're so excited. This is going to be an awesome show. I can't. Now, Ron and I have not discussed our lineups or who we actually pick. So
exactly.
You're going to see what goes into this. We're going to tell you a little bit about how we picked them and why we picked them and that good stuff.
Yeah. So, you want to jump in? Let's do it.
Yeah, are you done talking about last week?
I think so. I mean,
yeah.
You
didn't win, I didn't win.
Yeah.
Maybe a viewer or a listener won. I don't know, but 239, that's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points. So we're on to week 8. Let's just every week just try to learn from your lineups that you built, where you went right, where you went wrong, and try to learn. It's always a learning experience. It's always a puzzle, like we said, and just keep learning every week and getting a little bit better. And one day, and part of winning, if you're going to win $1 million, to be honest, you can do all the research you want. Part of it is you got to get a little bit lucky,
You do, yeah.
And the team that won, Kansas City, was a defensive play. That's another thing to point out. They had 2 touchdowns on defense. They had 1 kickoff return and 1, I think it was interception or fumble return. So they had 2 touchdowns. You had to play Kansas City's defense. So, get defensive touchdowns, you can't predict them. They're hard to predict. So, part of winning, if you're going to win $1 million, part of it's you got to get lucky. So just know that, and you have fun building your lineups, and you got that hope going into the week, and hopefully you're sweating at the end and you're winning that $1 million.
Yeah, really.
So yeah, so that's what I got for that, and on to week 8. Let's get to our picks and let's get somebody $1 million richer.
Sounds good, Ron. So here's what we're going to do, guys. We are going to go like Ron normally does at the end of the show. Where he picks all the picks. We're actually going to go back and forth and discuss our picks with you. So let's get started, Ron.
All right.
All right. Do you want to start with the game of the week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's
you want to do that?
Game. Yeah.
So you go ahead. You go ahead and start with your picks. I'll give you my picks, and then we'll do it back and forth. Okay.
So my game of the week.
Yeah.
I have San Francisco and Seattle.
Oh.
It's a 54-point total. Seattle's a 3-point favorite. San Francisco's got a good defense, but Russell Wilson, he's just been lighting it up. So,
Yeah.
That's the game I picked. What game did you pick for the game of the week?
Here's my game of the week. Now, I don't think this is going to be the game of the week for fantasy though.
Okay.
Because I think it's going to be low scoring. Now, tell me what you think. I've picked the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game as the game of the week.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I would not play Baltimore and Pittsburgh, and that's my philosophy this week when I did my picks.
I'm going to probably stay away from that game too. Two good defenses. It's a division game. They usually it is a low scoring game, so it'll probably be the highest scoring game on the slate this week. But no, I agree with that. I think it's going to be a great game to watch, but for fantasy purposes, probably not so much. You can maybe play a player from here, but it's going to be tough. Just know that they're probably going to be low owned because, like I said, everyone's looking at that too. It's two good defenses. So anybody you play from those games probably be lower owned. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, it's going to be a great game. It is. But yeah, fantasy wise.
Yeah, fantasy wise, I don't think I don't think those are going to be too good. And you'll see through my picks. Yeah. I don't have anybody. If you have anybody in Pittsburgh and Baltimore, you and I do not have the same picks.
Well, we don't. So we agreed on that one.
So we agree on that one.
Yeah.
So like I said, that's really not a good fantasy pick that I did. But I think it's going to be the game of the week. I think it's going to be a good game. It's like you said, a division rivalry there. Yeah. It's going to be, I think, a low-scoring game.
Yes.
That's my guess.
Yes. We're doing a fantasy football podcast to score a lot of fantasy points. And Terry's game of the week is Baltimore-Pittsburgh. Ladies and gentlemen, the Terrbiculus picks have started off on a great
Well, in my defense, though, I just picked it 2 seconds ago because I forgot to do it. So anyway.
Okay.
You don't pick a game of the week in fantasy football. So when you're on FanDuel, you don't get to pick a game of the week.
That's true. Exactly.
So those are just our predictions.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway.
Okay.
So now we will get into the predictions of who they can actually play. And so I'm going to start with quarterback.
Okay.
And I'm going to start with my stud, who I think is going to have a great game. He is he will be high owned, I know. And his name is Russell Wilson from the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
He's at 8,700. They're playing against San Francisco next week. They're coming off that overtime loss against Arizona. And they are playing at home. So my pick for quarterback, stud, Russell Wilson.
I like that pick. I had somebody else picked for my stud, and I actually added Wilson to my list because I'm looking at weather, and that's something we'll talk about a little bit. Weather is starting to start looking at because we're getting that time of year where weather can be a factor in the games. But anyway, I like Wilson's pick a lot. I did some research on him as well, and I like that pick a lot. I looked it up, and Seattle is throwing on 61.5% of their plays. So that's a great, and that goes in with my game that I picked.
When you said the game of your week, I thought, okay, he's going to pick Russell Wilson.
No, I didn't. No. But no. So, but yeah, I love that pick. My stud that I picked is Aaron Rodgers. 8,400 playing Minnesota. They played earlier in the game. They opened the season, and he had 30.76 fantasy points against them in the season opener. And Aaron Jones, it sounds like he may not play again this week with a calf injury. Keep an eye on that. One thing to think about with this Aaron Rodgers pick, though, is I looked at the weather. They're saying they're going to have 25-mile-an-hour winds in that game.
Oh, wow.
So that can affect the passing game. I did some research, and it said that basically anything over 15 miles an hour, they're going to score, on average, about 12% less. So not a huge factor, but something to keep in mind. So they're still going to be throwing, but it may affect the fantasy output. So, like I said, 25-mile-an-hour winds is going to affect the passing game pretty big. So keep that in mind. But, if weather can change because we're still a few days away from the game. So keep an eye on that. But if the weather gets a little bit better, I think Aaron Rodgers has another big game.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Against
he was. I always look at Aaron Rodgers too. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers was kind of a backup, but I thought Russell Wilson is going to be the stud this week. He's my quarterback.
I like Wilson better than Rodgers.
I like it. so there you go.
Absolutely.
I also did a value play on quarterback.
Okay, who do you have?
My value play is Justin Herbert.
Oh, I like
LA.
it. Yeah.
7,700. They're playing Denver. And the exact same thing that you were just talking about with Aaron Rodgers, the weather might be a factor in Denver. Did you see what happened there last week?
Yeah.
Snow. So I'm not sure what the weather's going to be like in Denver.
Right now, it looks good.
It does, okay.
The wind is low. It doesn't show any precipitation. like I said, it's a few days away. So right now the weather looks good there, so that's a good play. And he was the highest scoring quarterback
He
on this
he
last
was a
week's slate.
stud. He's a great value play. He's the one I'm going for value, and I said because of the weather. So if you're telling me there's no weather, I'm sticking with him for my value play at 7,700, Ron.
I like him, and then my value play is right below him. The other rookie quarterback that's tearing it up is Joe Burrow, 7,600 versus Tennessee.
Yep.
They're 6-point underdogs. 54.5-point total on that game.
Yeah, I think that's a bad pick, but that's all right.
Yeah, well, that's okay. You know, you could be wrong.
They're playing Tennessee.
They're playing Tennessee. And I looked it up too. Is Cincinnati? They're getting 72.4 plays per game, which is the most of any team. So they like to play fast. So and they're throwing down 63.5% of their plays.
Yeah.
So they like to throw it way more than they like to run it. And like I said, I think they're going to be behind. Weather on that game. It looks a little bit windy, not too bad, about 13-mile-an-hour wind, so it shouldn't be too bad. It's not showing any precipitation. So I like Joe Burrow in that game.
You know what? He is going to be throwing a lot. You know he's going to.
Exactly, and that's why I picked it, because I figured they're going to be behind, and so I thought, and he's been playing well. He just threw for over 400 yards against Cleveland, but
well,
we could probably throw for 400 over Cleveland, so there you go.
Hey, don't talk about our team that way.
Well, it's true. So what can I say?
So you're going with Burrow then on your value. How much is he? 7,600.
7,600. So
we were pretty close. So I got Russell Wilson and Justin Herbert. You got Aaron Rodgers and
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
Yes, sir.
There you go. So you got a stud, and then you got a value play on quarterback. So
yes.
Let's head on over to running backs. Are you ready for running backs?
I'm ready.
Okay. Who's your stud?
I like Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
That same game, 9,200 versus Green Bay. He had 21.3 in the first meeting. He's game flow independent, so he catches balls out of the backfield. He's coming off an injury, but everything I've read sounds like he's 99.99% going to play this week. So
okay.
I like him a lot, and especially like I said, the wind's up. They're going to have to run, and Green Bay's giving up the most fantasy points per game on FanDuel to running backs. They're giving up 29.7 fantasy points per game. So I like Dalvin Cook a lot, 9,200 against Green Bay.
Right.
Who do you got for your stud?
Well, I'm gonna spend a lot for mine. Mine's at 9,500.
I know.
And you know who it is, Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I'm going with Derrick Henry, Tennessee against Cincinnati. Yeah. I think he's going to be a stud in this game, and I'm willing to pay up for him because of that reason. I know they're playing in Cincinnati, but I think Derrick Henry is going to be the stud, and I'm going to get my money out of him at 9,500.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. You can't go wrong with Derrick Henry. He could go for 200 any week, and he could very well do it against Cincinnati.
Yep.
Dalvin Cook is a pivot off of him at that price point.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be lower owned than Henry. I think a lot of people are going to be on Henry because he is a great play. And I mean, if Henry does go for 200, if he goes for 39 fantasy points, you're going to have him to win your $1 million. So I like that play a lot. It's a great pick.
He's the one I'm going. He's the one I'm spending a lot of money on this week because I mean you can't spend all your money on every best player in every position. But I'm going with running back this week, and I'm spending it on him.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah,
nice pick. And then my value pick that I have for running back is Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, nice.
7,300 against Detroit. They're allowing the third most fantasy points per game to running backs. They're allowing 27.4. They're coming off a bye. Indies, they like to run, so I think Taylor could have a good game.
Sounds good.
Yeah, 7,300.
I'm going with Clyde Edward-Helaire.
Yeah.
Kansas City, $7,500, Ron, and they're playing New York, the Jets.
Yeah, they're massive. They're 19.5-point favorites.
Yeah, my guess is that they probably won't be throwing a lot, and that Kansas City won't be throwing a lot in that game. I'm going with their running back at the value price. So if you can't afford Henry, I would go with Edward-Helaire at 7,500 Kansas City.
I like it. Yeah, and I mean he's done well this year. I think he's right now. The second or third leading running back in the league right now for rushing yards.
Right.
So.
I'm not sure. I should have looked that up. I'm not sure what he did last week. It wasn't one of his better games.
You know what? They didn't have to do much because their defense got two. So they're offensively they didn't really need to do much. And then can I throw something in on a value with a running back? Off the Clyde Edward-Helaire. I think that's a great play. If you do need some cost saving, this is definitely a risk take, but. Le'Veon Bell just signed with Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
He had like 6 carries for 39 yards in the Denver game. That was his first game. He just got there. They're playing the Jets this week because this is his old team.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
they get out to a big lead. He's only $6,000, so he may be something to throw in a lineup too. So because if they get out to a big lead, but if they get a big lead, Clyde Edwards-Helaire probably already got 20+ fantasy points for you. So anyway, that's, if you need some price savings, Le'Veon Bell. And he may not do a whole lot, so he's only $6,000. So I don't know how much they're going to play him. But
that's a good point. His old team, you know how that the
revenge factor.
They always have that revenge factor, and they always want to show them what they're missing.
What they missed out, exactly. So he wanted to get out of there. So anyway, so that's just something to think about. But I love that Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I can't say that.
He's become one of my favorite running backs actually because he's
Kansas City's offense is so potent.
He's a great value play though because he's only $7,500.
Yeah.
So I do like him as my value pick.
Yeah, I like it. All right. Now we're going to go to wide receiver.
Yep.
And who do you have for your stud?
My stud is going to be Davante Adams. $9,100, Green Bay. My man Aaron Rodgers is going to hook him up. As long as the weather, again, the weather could be a factor. So I'm going to give you a value play in a minute. But
okay.
I'm going to go, if the weather looks good, everything, spend the money on Davante Adams.
My stud pick is Davante Adams.
No way.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, earlier in the season, he had 34.6 against them. So he's a target monster, especially if Aaron Jones is out. So even if the wind is high, they can do short passes to Davante Adams. Mm-hmm. So he's really their only receiver. They have other receivers, but he's Aaron Rodgers' favorite target.
He's the number one target. Man.
Exactly. He was the number one receiver this last week, and he's going to get lots of targets. So I like him a lot. And then just to heads up on that same game, Thielen, he's 7,700, and then the when they played earlier season, he had 28 fantasy points against them. So
nice.
Something to think about there.
Yeah, he's one I don't mind spending up for.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's a stud. So that's a good pick. It's a great pick.
It has to be a great pick. We both picked
exactly.
it. So do not play Davante Adams, just so you know.
Exactly. Who do you have for your value?
I have a value pick here. I'm going with Keenan Allen.
Okay.
The Chargers against Denver. Again, watch the weather because of the throwing. But you told me the weather's going to be good in Denver, so I'm going to go with him for my value pick. He had 10 receptions last week for 125 yards. He didn't have a TD, so I think he's due. That's why I'm going with Keenan Allen for my value this week.
Well, he's a target monster as well, just like Davante Adams. So it's a great pick, and you can pair him up with Herbert. So I like that a lot. Mm-hmm. That's a great pick. My value pick, I went a little bit lower. Is Brandon Aiyuk? I can't know if I pronounce it. For San Francisco, he's 5,900. They're playing Seattle. Seattle's giving up the most fantasy points to wide receivers. So 5,900, could be a high-scoring game. So that could give you some savings there. Mm-hmm. So I like him a lot. And then Deebo Samuel got hurt. So I think he's out this week. They have a lot of injuries. San Francisco's had a ton of injuries.
A ton.
So anyway, so Brandon Aiyuk. And it's Aiyuk. So he's 5,900 playing 59. Seattle. Yeah, so I like him a lot.
That's a good value. You can get a lot of players for 5,900.
Exactly. Of course, you can. So.
Oh, all right, Ron. So you got any more? So you did. Who's your value? Oh, you just said.
I did.
Never mind.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Tight ends.
Let's go to tight ends.
Okay.
Me or you?
I'll start.
Okay.
I was back and forth on the tight ends. My top value one I went with is Waller for Las Vegas, 6,800. They're playing Cleveland. He's got the most targets on the team. He has 55 targets on the year. And the weather on that one is going to be, it's showing 23-mile-an-hour wind and rain, so they may not be throwing as much, so keep an eye on that. But they're still going to throw a little bit, like I said, so it's about 12% reduction. But keep that in mind. But anyway, if the weather's a little bit better, if it can improve, I like him a lot. I'm guessing it's going to be a high-scoring game, but like I said, the weather can have an effect on that.
So you're going with Darren Waller as your stud?
Darren Waller is my stud, yeah. How about you?
Well, I have Darren Waller, but I have him in my value because he is only 6,800.
Yeah, true.
And like you said, they're playing Cleveland.
Yep.
So I think he will be a stud, but he's a value play for me.
Okay.
My stud was Travis Kelce for Kansas City at 7,900.
Yeah.
He's disappointing last week, but I think this week it's going to be his game. Because like we talked about before, usually these studs that you pay high money for, they don't have 2 disappointing weeks in a row. So
I agree.
He's going to be my stud, but Darren Waller is definitely a play I would do.
Yeah, I actually had Kelce. He was my original pick for my stud, and then I was looking at the game, and I was like, well, and like you said, I think Kelce only had like 3 targets. They didn't have to do anything on offense last week.
He only had 3 for 31 yards last week against Denver.
The Kansas City offense likes to score. They like to put points on the board.
Right.
So even if they do get out to a big lead, the studs probably have got some points. Clyde's Edward, I can't say his name. Yeah. And Kelce. Kelce is, I think he's his favorite target too. He gets lots of targets. He's got 5 touchdowns on the year. So I like Kelce a lot.
They're going to be
he's 7,900.
They're going to be down there by the end zone. He's going to go. He's going to go right to Kelce. So I'm hoping for some touchdowns there. So he will be my stud if I'm paying up for that.
And you have Waller as your.
And I'm not opposed to Waller either. I mean, I like Waller as a play. He could be a stud. He's great value at 6,800. That's why I gave another value pick. I did Jared Cook also for New Orleans at 5,800 against Chicago.
Yeah.
He was 4 for 32 last week, and he had a touchdown. So.
Yeah, Cook's a good play. I
think he's a great play.
Yeah, I like him a lot, and Breeze likes to go to him. And they had a lot of injuries on receiver last week, so keep an eye on that for this week as well. So I like that. That's a good play. My value pick was Jonnu Smith, 6,100 versus Cincinnati. He's got the most targets on the team. He's got 33 targets on the year. He's got 5 touchdowns on the year. And Cincinnati's giving up the second most fantasy points to tight ends. They're giving up 15.6 fantasy points per week. So he's 6,100, so he's my value pick.
Okay. Yeah, I like that pick. I played Jonnu maybe not last week, the week before.
He got hurt. Yeah. Well, you can't do anything about that.
You can't do anything about
that.
But it was very disappointing with my fantasy football because I thought he was going to be a stud.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, he was not.
Did not quite work out, but
did not work out.
Injuries happen. What are you going to do? You just move on to the next week.
Right. So we got some really good picks for tight ends.
Yeah,
and usually the tight ends are the hard ones to pick. But
tight ends has been killing me this year. Usually I do fair, but this year I made some bad picks this year. But we're on to week 8, and hopefully this week we get it right.
Right. Hopefully with those picks you can't go wrong.
Well, of course, how could you go wrong? So
what about a defense? Who are you going to go for your defense?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious. It's Kansas City 5,000 against the Jets. I mean, the Jets are just a bad team, and they're just falling apart. And they've allowed the second most sacks. They've allowed 24 sacks on the year. They've thrown 7 interceptions. Kansas City has 16 sacks in the year, 9 interceptions on the season. So we talk about pressures. You talk about turnovers. That's how you get points for your fantasy team. So Kansas City at 5,000.
Okay, I agree with that. But I have a value pick. I'm going to go with Tennessee Titans.
Okay.
Against Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I think their defense is going to have some picks.
Yeah. And I think Cincinnati's given up the most sacks on the year, so it's a good pick. Yeah.
So that's who I'm going with, Tennessee Titans.
I like it.
Against Cincinnati.
Do you know how much they are?
You know what, Ryan? I don't. Actually, I do. I can look it up, but not off the top of my head.
No worries. Okay. I have my value pick is the Chargers, 4,300 versus Denver. Denver's allowed 18 sacks and thrown 10 interceptions on the season. Kansas City just played them and got 24 fantasy points, so they can get turnovers maybe and get a defensive touchdown. So that's it's 4,300.
4,300
for the Chargers.
Tennessee is 4,600.
4,600. Okay. Yeah.
So it's a good value, good stud, good value play for Tennessee.
Tennessee. Yeah, I like that. I like that play. Like I say, because Cincinnati's offensive line isn't very good. They give up lots of sacks, which can lead to turnovers. So it's a good pick. I like it. You compare him with Henry, so that's a good positive correlation. So, so your lineup's just coming together for you. You know, you got Herbert with Keenan Allen.
I was going to say I did a nice stack. Yeah, exactly. I did a little bit of running with a little defense. So
exactly, I like it.
Yeah,
I like what you've got put together so far. Do you have any hidden gems for us this week?
Oh my gosh, do I have some hidden gems for you?
All right, cool. I got a couple. What do you have for us? Who's your first one?
I've got some receivers.
Okay, cool. I don't have any receivers.
Yeah. So. Oh, good. Perfect. I'm going to give you 2 great names, and they're 2 Cleveland guys.
Oh, I never would have guessed that.
You know who they are? I'm going with Rashad Higgins and Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Okay.
Rashad is at 5,500. Donovan is at 5,200. With Odell gone, he's out.
Yeah.
So Rashad's going to move into the number 2 position, receiver, and then Peoples-Jones will move into number 3.
Yeah. Did Baker look like a different quarterback when Odell? You hate to say that, but he did.
He really did. And then Donovan came in and scored that touchdown too.
Yep.
I think we're gonna have a repeat. I think those are great hidden gems. 2 Cleveland guys, you can't go wrong.
How can you go wrong with those Cleveland guys? Yeah, Baker looked a lot different. They've been talking about that on ESPN all week.
He really
is
did.
Baker better without? They're saying, obviously Odell Beckham's a better receiver than those guys, but Baker's not pressing to try to get Odell the ball.
Right,
He's going to the open guy instead of saying, I got to get it to Odell. So he played much better, and it'll be interesting to see how he goes the rest of the season, how he plays. But I like those picks. Keep an eye on the weather for that Cleveland game. It's showing 23-mile-an-hour wind and rain right now, so keep an eye on that. But like I said, they're still going to be throwing, but just if the weather was better, I think I'd go with that. And I love Kareem Hunt as well on that game.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah, but we always love the running game for Cleveland. So,
true.
But we're talking about hidden gems, though. Cleveland Browns. So I guess they're probably going to be low owned.
I'm guessing. Donovan Peoples-Jones is probably going to be a little higher owned because of that score last week. So people got to know him.
Yeah.
But he's still
Browns
cheap.
fans.
Browns fans. 5,200.
Yeah, that's
he's a
cheap.
great hidden gem.
Yeah.
If you play him, he scores a touchdown, maybe 2 touchdowns. Man, you're going to get your money's worth.
Absolutely. I like it. My hidden gem, I have a quarterback and a tight end. My quarterback is Jimmy Garoppolo. He's only 6,600.
I can see why.
Playing Seattle. Seattle's given up 27.8 fantasy points per game to the quarterbacks. The next closest on this slate is the Chargers that are allowing 23.6. So Seattle gives up a ton of points to quarterbacks. And, everyone likes, San Francisco likes to run the ball and possess the ball, but they're probably going to have to throw in this game because we talked about Russell Wilson being a stud. They're probably going to score. I think it's going to be back and forth, which I hope it is. So I like Garoppolo and to pairing up with Brandon Aiyuk, or Aiyuk, however you say it. So that's my hidden gem at quarterback. And then, do you have any other hidden gems for us?
I didn't have any quarterback, but I did the opposite of you. We didn't even discuss this, Ron, but I did a running back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who do you got?
Darrell Henderson for the Rams at 6,100 versus Miami.
I like that.
I think it's going to be a good play against Miami. But I also had a hidden gem for you.
Okay.
For you at the running back position.
I want to hear it.
I'm going Jermichael Hastings, San Francisco. I know you just talked that they're going to run. I think that if they're going to run. He's going to be the runner. They're against Seattle at 5,600. Jeff Wilson's out. Hastings played the second half of the last game. I think you're going to see a lot more of him at 5,600. He's a great value play, and he's going to be a hidden gem. No one's going to play him.
True, but
low owned.
Well, just keep an eye on this. I just read this before we came on. They said that there is a chance that Tevin Coleman plays this week for San Francisco.
I did read that too.
Yeah, so keep an eye on that. And he's coming off injury, so Hasty may still get most of the carries. So I like that.
Exactly.
I like that Hasty play. Yeah,
that's my Darrell Henderson is my number one hidden gem.
I like Henderson too.
Hasty is a hidden gem.
Yeah, really. Super hidden.
Super hidden. So hidden. No
Deal
one's
in a
gonna play.
haystack. Exactly.
Perfect.
I like him. And then I have a tight end for you to think about is Jimmy Graham.
Oh, yeah.
5,400 versus New Orleans. New Orleans is allowing the most fantasy points per game to tight ends. They're allowing 15.8 points per game. So in Chicago is actually, I couldn't believe this. Chicago is throwing on 65% of their plays. Wow. Now, they don't have a great offensive line, so they really can't run the ball that well. So they're just throwing it.
Right.
So that gives you more opportunities. So Jimmy Graham at 5,400, someone to think about at
That's
tight
a
end.
good hidden gem.
Yeah.
I've actually played it before, too.
Yeah. So keep an eye on that Chicago game. There's 3 games with 20-plus mile-an-hour wind forecasted. It's the Cleveland-Las Vegas game. Is showing 23-mile-an-hour winds and light rain. The Minnesota-Green Bay game is showing 25-mile-an-hour winds but no precipitation. The New Orleans-Chicago game, they're playing in Chicago, is showing 22-mile-an-hour winds. And then the other game with rain is the New England-Buffalo game. Is showing 17-mile-an-hour winds with light rain. So just keep those in mind when you're building your lineups. And you can still play players from those games, but just know that there's a possibility that with the weather, it could hamper some of their performance.
Right. Well, it's going to be an exciting week of football on Sunday. Can't wait for it to happen. You have all of our predictions, both Rondiculus and Terrbiculus. I know who's going to win, but we'll fill you in next week when we have the show. So,
good luck to you.
Good luck, everyone.
Absolutely.
Make sure you keep listening to us. Follow us on Instagram at TRPcast. You could go to our website, trpcast.com. Like us on Facebook at Terrbiculus and Rondiculus, or you can tweet us at TRPcast as well. Also, listen to us. Tell your friends. Listen to us on iHeartRadio and Apple Podcasts.
We're also on Google Podcasts now as well.
Perfect. So we're all over the place. So you'll be able to find us anywhere. But best place, just go to our website, trpcast.com.
Perfect.
Good luck, everyone.
Good luck.
Hope you win millions of dollars. We hope we win millions of dollars. This show will end if we do.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Good luck this week.
Have a good week.
Have a great week. Bye.